Good morning, copy composers. How are you all? I am excited to talk to you this morning. I got some fantastic feedback from our friend Matt Champagne after speaking at Ray Edwards' event. He did a whole survey thing where he had the audience give comments and ask questions. But first of all, it's extremely flattering. Thank you so much to all of the kind people who gave me such lovely comments. I'm truly humbled and excited that some words that I said were helpful or helpful to many of you. But there were also some questions, and I thought I'd take a minute and answer these in a way that everybody could, who's here, can follow the answers and get the answers to. Okay, here's the first one. And by the way, for those who didn't know about the talk or hear it, the talk was called "The Hero's Fury," when fury becomes the fuel to your fire. And it's all about overcoming challenges and on our mission. We're all, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we're all kind of on this mission to make a change in the world, do some kind of great thing and help people and make a living doing it. But there's unfair challenges that always crop up, and they can be very blocking, and they can stop our progress. And I've certainly had some of these in my life. And anyway, the talk, I used one of my favorite composers' lives as an example is Beethoven, with his challenge with deafness and overcoming the deafness. And so that the talk went into a lot of detail about his life and some of the things that have happened in my life, and sort of a system of turning that pain and frustration and anger into a fury that becomes like this oven to propel the train of our mission forward. And so that becomes this fuel as we go forward to reach the mountaintop. And not to fuel anger or to fuel pain, but to fuel us, to like turn that pain and anger, kind of transform it into something that can propel us forward rather than keep us stopped and frustrated. Okay, so here's the first question that came up. It says, I wondered how to temper the fury and not let it take over. Resentment is a big part of my response to unfair situations, and I could easily see myself becoming consumed by the fury. I'd love to hear Doug's thoughts. This is a really great point. A resentment, yeah, I know that feeling all too well. And yeah, when unfair challenges come, when, like in my case, I was fired for a really ridiculous reason, ended up being a blessing in disguise, but it took quite a while to come to that realization. So yeah, how to not be consumed by this fire, by this fury. For me, maybe it's different for others, but for me and for Beethoven, and for others that I've studied, like one of the people I was going to talk about in the talk, had I had more time, I mean, I had an hour, which was a wonderful amount of time. Had I had 2 hours, I would have gone on to talk about others, like Johann Sebastian Bach, especially, had some similar issues, different but similar. And for Bach, for Beethoven, and what I'm trying to apply in my life, having learned this from Bach and Beethoven, is that there has to be something that you channel the anger, the frustration, the resentment into. Because if it just festers, if it bottles up and festers, it turns into this toxic wasteland, and it's contagious, and all those around you will start to get angry and bitter and frustrated. And so for Bach, for example, his mission was to create what he called a well-regulated church music to the glory of God, which in his mind was a huge encyclopedic project of cantatas and anthems and passion oratorios and this huge, huge body of music, which took him many, many decades to complete. And so he channeled his frustration into creativity, into the work, into a work that not only kept him busy, kept his mind busy, kept his heart and his soul and his emotions busy, but it also allowed him to express those. There's something special about music and an art form that allows you to actually express those challenging feelings. And it's like it siphons off the anger, it siphons off the resentment because it's channeled into creativity. And if you can take it to the next level, if you can take it to the point of, not only do I want to channel this resentment and this pain and this anger and frustration into a creative outlet, but so that the person on the receiving end can also receive some kind of healing or comfort or love or some kind of soothing help, that takes it even further, because then you come out of yourself and it's not just about you. And if you can, I mean, it's important to be selfish in some ways because we need to take care of ourselves, of course, but that can go too far. And if you can channel all that into a creative outlet that's not just for you, but it can also has the potential to help somebody else. And if you put all that intent into the other person, that goes a long way. I have some very specific examples in my creative past and even in my current writing that go into that. I don't have time to go into all those today, but it gives me an idea for a podcast maybe. So I'll make a little note here to myself. We can talk about that sometime on an upcoming podcast. By the way, my podcast is being launched in 13 days, August 14th. The Music of Copywriting. So tune in there, and we'll definitely talk about this more. Yeah, I'm just making this note: channeling into creative works. A couple of my works that really did this were a cantata called The Good Shepherd. Another one is called For I Was an Hungered. It's a setting of Matthew 25. For I was an hungered and you gave me meat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. That beautiful, beautiful text. Okay, so that's the first one. First question. Thank you for asking. Second question. What are 2 specific actions that you could pass on that got you to 6 figures in 1 year in my copywriting business? What are practical actions we can take to get started along the same track? Obviously, number 1 is follow and learn from Ray Edwards, my mentor, and the guy who these people came to the event to see. What are numbers 2 and 3? Okay, yeah, good question. So yeah, it's been about a year, and I now have a 6-figure copywriting business. So first and foremost is definitely having the right mentor or 2. I have 2 main mentors. Number 1 is Ray Edwards, and I've learned so much from him. I joined his mastermind. I got a lot of access to him, and getting to know him and talk with him and share my feelings and frustrations, and just to sort of have him there helping me along the journey to kind of point the direction has been huge. The other mentor that I've been working a lot with, who's become a really great friend, is David Garfinkel, the excellent copywriter and world's greatest copywriting coach. But it's been much more than just learning copywriting from David. In fact, we don't talk a ton about nuts and bolts of copywriting. We have a regular meeting where I talk, he's a songwriter. And so he's been asking me lots of questions about music. And so we have this kind of fun relationship where we both open up, and he asks me lots of music questions and I ask him lots of marketing and some copywriting questions. But it's really, for me, it's the great part about it is it's almost like having a parent or some kind of, yeah, a parent who's been down the road. I guess a parent depends on what stage of life you're in. When you're a teenager, you want to get away from your parents. For me, when I was first having kids with my wife, like, wow, so it was like a full circle kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, now I see the world a different way, the way my parents were seeing the world when I was a kid. And then but the conversations I had with my parents were very different then than they were when I was younger. And it's that kind of relationship that I feel like I have with David, where um, we first of all, we get along super well. We're very similar. We're both very kind of crazy academic brains who like to learn everything and share that stuff. And so we geek out a lot. but then he has this amazing track record of success in coaching some of the best working copywriters today. And so we get a lot into like the mindset behind why you would market this way, or the the inner workings of thinking about being a copywriter, about being a marketer, about having a business, about your prospects, about interviewing your prospects, about all those kinds of things. So, gosh, having good mentors is huge. Another is immersion. Finding a way to immerse yourself in what you're trying to do. And so in this case, I'm trying to build a copywriting business that could support me and my family. So I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole all the way. I've been learning as much as I could, as much as I can by reading the right books. It's important to read the right books. And this is another great reason to have a good mentor. I mean, there's so many books about marketing and business and copywriting, but which are the crucial ones? And this is the kind of thing that Ray, David Garfinkel, and some other trusted advisors who I follow, like their podcasts, or I'm on their newsletters, even though we don't have a personal relationship necessarily, but like Ben Settle and some others who aren't coming to my mind at the moment, but they are really good at suggesting the right books and the right sample copy to learn from. And I would much rather, this is one of my downfalls, is I like to learn everything, but that's also a problem. It can be a crutch, and it can be kind of a learning spiral you have to watch out for, which I fall into sometimes. And so it's better to read the 10 essential books 10 times than it is to read 100 books one time. So find the best ones. What are the most important, the most that are going to help you the most, and really go deep onto those. But don't just read them and learn them. Apply them. Start writing. Take these little things you learn and start writing. Write every day. Start building an email list. Write to your people. I started this with my wife, with her business, and putting the stuff into motion is enormous. The last thing I'll say about this is something that's really helped me in getting the right clients is getting a couple of really solid retainer clients. I have 2 long-term retainer clients. That's the majority of my work right now. I do get a couple other clients now and then that are like additional projects. And I occasionally still help my wife out with her business, but the 2 retainer clients, that's sort of my bread and butter right now. And so I was afraid of retainers at first. I was a little worried about getting roped in, but it's been great. It's been a real blessing. I love the retainer model. So next question. Let's see. I love the look of your website. Thank you. Is it WordPress? What template do you use? No, I do not use WordPress. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't want to figure it out. It looks hard. It looks time consuming. I got stuff to do. So I use Squarespace. I love Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace for my music website for a long time, which is blueshoremusic.com, if you're interested in that. But if you go to douglaspugh.com, a cover comes up and there's 2 buttons. Do you want to go to my copywriting website or to my music website? So you can kind of choose your own adventure there. But they're both Squarespace sites. Squarespace has a ton of beautiful templates. I forget off the top of my head which one I use, but they're lovely, and they categorize them based on what kind of business you're running. So they have some that are specific for e-commerce companies, some that are specific for bloggers, some that are specific for artists. Like I said, I forget which one I use, but after that, it's easier for me. It's easier than using Microsoft Word. Sometimes Microsoft Word is a pain in the butt. Squarespace is very simple. It's a lot of drag and drop. It's a lot of plug and play. And there's not all millions of plugins like there are with WordPress. It's a very all-inclusive platform. It's very affordable. It's really a great platform. So I use that, and I when I want something to look different than the settings I've selected in the template I've shows in Squarespace, I use Canva, and I make a different, like I'm right in the middle of writing a couple new pages on my site, a speaking page. Now that I've had given this talk, I feel like, hey, I want to do this again. So I'm putting up a speaker page, and I'm putting up a coaching page because I'm thinking about trying that out. And I want the headline area to look different. So I create an image of how I want it to look in Canva, and I bring it over, and it kind of gives the page its own feel. It's super easy. But Canva's super easy. It's not like all the Photoshop craziness, which I don't want to figure out. It's super easy and super cheap, and same with Squarespace. Super easy, super cheap. So that's what I use. Okay, a couple more questions. What has been most challenging for you as you have started your copywriting business? Great question. This is a very easy answer. Self-doubt and the mindset. I just didn't know I could do it. I was worried that I would, this bright, shiny object thing happens, especially in the internet marketing world. Oh my gosh, everybody and their dog's got some huge promise about some huge thing they're going to give you, and oh my goodness, and it's going to make you millions of dollars in 10 seconds and blah, blah, blah. It's persuasive, and it's easy to kind of get pulled in too many directions, and it made me freak out and like, oh, can I do all this? And do I have to learn this and this and this and this? And it's like I had to learn 25 things to, so the self-doubt was big. Plus I'd come out of this tailspin of leaving a full-time music career and a professorship and composer life, which had me really doubting myself because my entire life had been built toward that goal. And it's, you can see behind me, it's still all over my walls. I got a bookshelf here, bookshelf here, bookshelf here, full of music scores and books and stuff. It's still a huge part of my life. I haven't turned my back on it. I've just pivoted. I made a new twist, and I'm trying to use all that experience to build my copywriting business. And so it's taken a while to get my head straight. It's taken a lot of smacking around. And in fact, at a mastermind meeting at Ray Edwards' headquarters in Spokane, a friend of mine in the mastermind is Ed. I got Ed-ified, which is what we call it when he rips us a new one. He grabbed his water bottle and started smacking me like, stop it, stop it. I was giving all this self-doubt crap. It's kind of like when you listen to Cliff Ravenscraft, we call it getting cliffed. We got cliffed. So it's definitely been a mindset thing. If you can conquer the mindset, you can go a long way. I'm not sure I've conquered it, but I've certainly made a lot of progress. In fact, I'm writing a book with Ray Edwards right now, title to be determined. We're still working on that, but it's a narrative about our journeys. And in the journeys, we're going to share a bunch of our tools, especially Ray's tools, the tools and tactics of dealing with clients, getting better clients, writing, building your business, all the nuts and bolts and tools and stuff, but we're telling it through our story, through this kind of double hero's journey. My hero's journey, his hero's journey to a 7-figure copywriter, my journey to a 6-figure copywriter. And we decided we needed a villain to tell a true story. Every good story needs a villain. And I was asking Ray, what do you think the villain is in building your copywriting business? And he's, without hesitation, said, the fixed mindset. So true. So mindset work is definitely my answer to this question. All right, last two questions. What inspires you now? Well, lots of things. I try to always keep my antenna up. I'm very inspired by my wife and all her amazing work with her Norwex company. She's a Norwex consultant, which is a direct sales MLM company. In fact, she's out of town right now at the national conference in Dallas. And she has this like rabid desire to help her people. And it's amazing to watch her go. She's got this fire in her belly that really pushes her forward. That's very inspiring to me. I love watching people overcome challenges. And so like with my wife, her thing, she's very worried about like, getting on the phone, talking to people. She's just super concerned about that. She has really come a long way. My mentor, Ray Edwards, the poor guy has Parkinson's, but to watch him continue to soldier on, it's extremely inspiring to me. I continue to study and geek out on the stories of my favorite composers who all have very inspiring stories. I could go on and on. The two that I love the most are Johann Sebastian Bach and Ludwig van Beethoven. Their stories are just incredible. But there's also these wonderful stories of Brahms and Mendelssohn and Schumann and Schubert. So those are all very inspiring to me. What else inspires me? I am always inspired by my kids. They're great kids. They're hardworking. They love each other. They love us as parents. That's very inspiring to me. Something else I'm very inspired by is my dad. My dad started an orchestra by himself 8 years ago. He had this idea like, wow, how cool would that be to have my own orchestra? And he just did it. It's extremely inspiring. And so I'm the associate conductor there, and I play in the bass section, and my wife's in the violin section. But it's so fun to watch this thing, this well-oiled machine. And it started with an idea in his head, and he's managed to figure out how to do it. It's very inspiring. Okay, last question. Do you guest post to grow your list? I have not guest posted to this point. I think that sounds like a great way to do it. I think I would probably prefer to be a guest on podcasts. There's something about podcasts that you can get inside people's head, like quite literally. They put their earbuds in while they're driving, they're listening or whatever, and I can talk. So I like to just answer questions, get on a podcast, and share my thoughts and things. And that's a great way to grow your list. I'm sure guest blogging, guest posting can do the same, but I haven't tried it yet. Well, those were the questions that people who saw me speak last week at Ray's event asked. I hope some of this has been helpful to you. And I'm happy to field any other questions you have. So please feel free to reach out. You can find me here on Facebook at Rockstar Copywriting with Dr. Douglas Pugh, or on my website, douglaspugh.com, where you can download my Rockstar Copywriting Framework. There's some other little freebies there, like the 11 Deadly Email Mistakes. And what's the other one? It's called, the Email Subject Line Starter Kit. Those are all freebies. If you go to my website, douglaspugh.com/start, that's the homepage, and they're all there. So I hope you have a fantastic day. Go out and turn your challenges and your anger and any frustration you have, channel that stuff and put it into this furnace of fire inside you and let it propel you forward to do good in the world. There's lots of good to be done, and you've got a message, and people out there are waiting to hear it from you. And if you keep it to yourself, no one's ever going to get changed, and it's kind of selfish. So get it out there. Go tell your story and sing your tune, and by doing that, people will hear you, and they'll resonate, and they'll want to harmonize. So hope you have a great day. We'll see you. Goodbye.